Hey people, Stanley here with another investing video going over one of my top three trades. Hard to say if this is number three or number two. It's pretty close, basically a tie, um, both in the upper 7,000 range. My biggest trade was 15,000 off of Zim. It was a one-day trade before earnings on a very good quarter, which I kind of suspected it would be big, and it was. The other trade was a couple week trade off of MSTR, Bitcoin. I think that was upwards toward 8,000. This is 7,700. I'm not sure if this was number two or number three, but they're pretty much the same. This is an MSTR, so I just say a tie for number two. And it was a big week. The Iran blockade ended, and very good for the economy and everyone. Peace is good, and yeah, got some really good results. Funny thing is, my investment in BWET was on the hypothesis that the blockade would be a long time and that would be optimal. I think I misunderstood a lot of the options. So kind of um, a review of what happened once the blockade ended. BWET spiked, and BWET is tanker futures, meaning the price to rent crude tankers. So a lot of shipbuilders, when they build it, they don't actually give up the rights to the ship. They just rent it out, or there are companies who buy the ships and then rent them to companies. And that can be good for delivery companies because for the rentals actually, because they can kind of control their supply a little bit more. And enter contracts when they don't need them. But it's kind of pro and con because they're paying a premium for the rental. But so essentially, this is kind of the futures on the rental rates of tankers. So pop out. So the idea was there was a huge drop. It was like 20% in one day. I mean, there had been a big follow-up drop, but the 20% in one day. And I thought, boy, this seems oversold to me because there's going to be a lot of need for tankers, as time goes on. Quite a premium because of all the backlogs and everything. For example, I heard news today that in Mali, I believe crude is being sold for $240 a barrel. Now, obviously, there are some places that but you think if you could get a tanker and take it over to a place that really needed it, you can sell it at quite a premium. So, that was kind of the thesis. When I saw the ceasefire, my thought was that this was going to be bad and I was going to be way down. I had kind of a defensive strategy because the volatility of this is very high. So usually, like for example, it slides. For example, if I rolled from, I sold my strikes at 120. If I rolled my strikes from 120 down to 110 for a month out, I should get $30. So meaning I can completely cover $20 upside plus get $10 upside. So usually in that sort of thing, you can often defensively roll down, as long as it's not too bad. And I figured it can't get too bad because it's gonna be need for tankers. So, but I was preparing today that there was going to be a lot of defensive rolling, and instead it popped up $26,000. Now, obviously, I'm in a covered call, so that kind of limits my upside, and that makes me a lot safer because I didn't actually need the thing to go up to profit. I just hold. It goes nowhere. I make close to $8,000. What I'd done is I sold in a little higher and then I rolled down to 120. And then what I did was a couple days out, I kind of anticipated that I was going to be successful. It was going to stick around 124 because it had gone down to about 120 and it kind of popped up a little bit. I thought it's going to go around 124 and I'm going to successfully. So what I did was I bought an 11th share. Oh, sorry, this is the 11th share. And what I did is I put it way down to 50. And so I got 7,750. So I actually got, more. I think I bought it like at 120. But so basically I got, um, you know, um, you know, well, between all of this, it's like I got these for free plus $2,700 approximately. Now, of course, 100 free shares of the BWET, it is kind of capped at 50, and that's a few months out. So I'm gonna have to roll those up. But even still, that's additive. But I like that it's kind of an income producing source. Now, of course, being so high, I don't know how easy it is to get into any reasonable profit range. But it's better than just it's additive. Let's say that. So it's like $7,700 plus on this trade, to be honest, because there's going to be a lot more in the future coming in. So it's you know, I got some money, some free shares, and I'm going to get a decent amount of profit from the free shares. So it's probably my second best trade of all time. Now, why I thought the trade is, I thought it's going to really um, uh, make the amount of time that tankers are needed lower. But what I didn't really consider is the exposure. In retrospect, the exposure of this is that it's so much of these are based on the Middle East, the percentage. So I didn't think about how concentrated this is in Middle East routes. So it doesn't matter. Like what's good for tankers is less relevant as what's good for Middle Eastern tankers for this ETF, and so that's kind of something I hadn't considered. I was just kind of considering tankers as an aggregate. But tankers going from Africa to the continent of U.S. I mean, this is not a huge percent. Pretty much everything is driven off the Middle East off of this. So in retrospect, I should have been thinking more about what is this thing actually holding? What is it actually doing? And if I understood that better, and in retrospect, now that I get it, it's like, okay, like 90% of this is based on the Middle East. So it's good for the Middle East tankers. It's good for this. It's not your average tanker. But any case, picking up 7,700. I mean, even if it went wild, I mean, I could technically, if I just, but I mean, I would have chickened out and sold it way before then. But that would be 31,000. But that's why I like to play short trades, which are very profitable. It was a 3-day trade, entered on Wednesday, exited today basically. I mean, it's still in my account, but it hasn't been pulled out. I mean, this has already been called. I mean, I would assume it's been called. If they, if whoever spent $7,000, $7,568.79 wants to not take those shares, I will happily take the extra $30,000. Very happily. I will be the most happy camper on Monday you could imagine. To find out these things didn't get called. That would be a pretty big dream world. You spend $7,000 to make $30,000, and then you're like, hey, I'll just take the extra $30,000 as a tip. On me. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. But yeah, but and that's the thing is that with options, I'm in a fairly safe trade. I pick my profit off. I mean, the biggest thing is it goes down, but I had a strategy that I believe would mitigate that and lead to long-term profitability on a downswing. And I believe that there had to be some upswing coming. So I believe that ultimately I had to prevail even on the downswing. It would have been more dramatic. In some cases, I almost wanted to keep with this trade. Like I was thinking today, like I could swing down a little bit for another month. Pick up like $8,000 or $9,000, and then and be significantly down, or and way below the thing, and probably pretty safe. It'd probably be pretty safe $8,000-9,000 to collect. Just a little too risky for me, for my blood, for that long term. And I do actually, I like this, and I just don't like the volatility. Now the volatility does lead to better option pricing, but there's BWET and then there's be dry, which is dry bulk. Now I think the dry bulk is looking a lot less. It's not as sexy as the tankers by any means. I mean it's up pretty strong 1 year. I mean long term it's kind of down, but I mean it's okay. I mean because like this, you have to have a strategy off it. It's either short term, exposure or selling options. If you're selling options off of this long term, you should easily have made a significant profit even if you're down quite a lot on the actual ETF. So you have to have a strategy, but I think that this has the right sort of volatility structure to kind of option in. So maybe, for example, what are we currently at? We're at a 3 month. So we're currently in like at 11. Let's say I'm not going to get as much exposure. Let's say I buy in at 9 as the option. That's going to cover 9 is going to cover, like pretty far back. I mean, it's going to take a while to fall below 9, even off a big swing down. It went from there to like, but if you're at 9 and also swings down, it's going to become worthless, and you can swing lower. So let's say like I hold in at this, it's at 11.50. I buy in at 9. Now, you see, wish I had my phone open so I could see what that might look like. Is that a sensible strategy? Can I be that low at 9 and still be solid? Obviously, I would kind of go in slower on this, and then not in the huge quantity because it'd be a longer term trade, not a like quick in and out. This quick in and out, that's when I go in bigger. This would be a really long term one, and slowly building. So be dry. Let's see if the options. Let's say I went in close to 137. Let me see what the options are. If I went 27 days out and I was at 9. Okay, at 9 it would have been 265. But I mean basically, because we can basically put 2.65. Now is that reasonable? Yeah, it looks like reasonable based on the spreads. 265. And it closed at 1137, but because we're subtracting 265 off minus 11.37, so it's 8.72. 8.72. Let's write that down. Nice if this actually wrote 8.72, because that would be kind of like you're subtracting that from your cost. So, and then it would be 8.72. It would be kind of like margin would be 9 divided by 8.72. So that would be 3%. So 0.03 times 12, 36%. So 9 or 11. Oh yeah, we were going off of a 9. It might be a little too low. I mean, I might have to get in tight. I think it would be okay. That's just smaller if I'm in tight. For example, let's say I go in at 11. Yeah, 11 is $1.99. So you take 11.37 minus 99 cents, 1038. So it'd be 11 divided by 10.38 is about 6%. Is a 0.06 times 12. You're running, hypothetically, it's 70% a year. Now, obviously, depending if it moves up or down, there could be a lot of plus or minus. But I like that sort of thing. So obviously, I'd have to be in more tight here, and then on downswings, we can roll down. Obviously, but they'll be good and bad. It'll kind of completely, like for example, that 99 cents you sold, completely destroyed, 100% profit. But then as you roll down, you're getting a lot lower on the roll down. Roll ups could be sometimes less or sometimes more. But I think this could be solid to run at like 50% a year. And then that could be kind of building, say start off a position of, 30,000 and, get other dividends and other stuff and just kind of pump it in there. So I think that, this is the sort of, it's a little bit lower risk reward, but the return is very solid and the risk reward is more controllable. So it's not like unmitigated risk. You're not seeing like, you got some death drops. A little bit. There's something in here that was pretty nasty from 30. But at this point, you kind of blown a top. You got some sort of extreme movement. So if you got some sort of extreme movement, like this, you got to be prepared that on the top of an extreme movement is going to be an extreme downturn. Now here we don't have an extreme movement. So you see, you're not having extreme movements. You're not going to have extreme downturns. It's going to be more slow. But this thing was a pretty extreme thing, and so, but buying in pretty low, and if it does get pretty extreme, obviously you're going to have collected more than 100% on the top, and then as you start to get in and you've collected more than 100%, and you're still building, you have to start to get even more defensive and taking lower and lower profit, or just be aware that if you're still taking more and more profit, yeah, you're going to see a lot of downside, but you're going to be okay with that because you've already collected 100%. So whatever you get, as a percentage on the downside, you're still winning. But yeah, that's kind of that trade. Then just more general, my Vanguard did very well. Everything did, because I got a lot of Bitcoin stuff, and that's looking pretty nice. And a lot of other stuff was just looked extremely well. Everything was pretty good there. Didn't load it, so I'm not going to show it off. But ABR is moving up, MSTR is moving up. SEC, everything's pretty strong. So we're running pretty strong. There's a pretty big upward movement. Yeah, so it can be, pretty happy about that. Guess we got logged out. Okay, because I logged into the other device. But yeah, there's just some big movements. It was really good. All right. Anyway, that's enough for that video. I hope you have a great day, guys.